You are watching Camera64 videos, your home for great tips and tricks, and I am your host, Alfonso Chavez. I want to thank you for coming back for our third episode in this series. Today we are going to be working on a Facebook question. It wasn't necessarily directed towards me, but I like the fact that somebody is asking questions and wants to learn a little bit more. So I made the decision to go ahead and kind of duplicate the picture that I saw, and then we're going to give him some suggestions about how he could fix that picture and make it a lot better. So what the idea is here is that he did mention in the post that he was using a T3 and using an 18-55 IS, which is the lens that comes in that kit. So I'm going to use the settings that are available to him using that lens, and using the settings that are available to him also in that camera. And we're going to try and improve upon what he has. A lot of times when you're taking pictures, there's a difference between snapshots and between somebody that's actually a professional. They're actually setting up a shot. Every shot is not, it's not, you know, you stand over there and I'll take your picture. There's a lot of thought that goes into every single picture that we take. And so a lot of times it has to do with setting somebody up in the right spot, setting up flashes and having them in the right spots, because photography, as we all know, it's about light. So that light's got to be going in the direction that we need to light somebody's eyes up, to put a shadow across somebody's nose or below the nose, depending on the type of lighting that you're trying to go for, or the look that you're trying to go for. So with that in mind, we're going to go ahead and get started. The first thing we're going to do is I'm going to actually try and duplicate that picture. He said he was using portrait in the automatic mode, so that's what I'm going to do. Is I'm going to set my camera up for portrait mode, and I'm going to try and take that exact same shot that he took, and then we will slowly improve upon it. So with that, no further ado, let's go ahead and get started on that. For this photo demonstration, I just want to let everybody know that we are using a Canon T2i. I know the gentleman mentioned that he was using a Canon T3, and there's really not that big of a difference between these two cameras. And also I'm using a Sigma 17-55 2.8, and I know that lens that he has is a kit lens, which is the 18-55, which gives him a maximum aperture of 5.6. So on all our shots today, we are going to be shooting this T2i with an aperture of 5.6 for the demonstration. So that way, the settings that we talk about, he'll be able to duplicate in his camera when he decides that he wants to give this a try again. I need you to stand, go ahead and stand right there, because we need to get pictures of cars. And what I want you to do is I just want you to sit kind of like this. Like that. Right there, just like that.
Look at you or what?
Yeah, but right now you can look at the camera right now. So here's our shot. Here's our shot that we've set up, and just to let everybody know, there was a parking lot behind the gentleman, and there was a small baby right here. Unfortunately, I ain't got a small baby, but I do have my son. He's the baby for me still. So this is gonna be my small baby in our example here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and take that shot. We're gonna go ahead and set up our camera, and he said he was using portrait mode, so that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. It's an automatic setting, portrait mode. So now I've got my camera set up to portrait mode. Okay, now I'm going to take a couple of shots here. Okay, I've taken a couple of shots. The first thing that portrait mode did, even in the full sun, was pull my flash up, okay? And also it enabled me the opportunity to take multiple shots by turning on the multi-shot mode in the camera. And one other thing I did notice too, is that because I had the 2.8 lens, that the lens automatically went to 2.8, which is what we don't want. So now I'm gonna have to retake these again, assuming that I have a 5.6. And so I'm going to put it in manual mode and set up a shot that has 5.6 as the aperture, okay? So now I'm in manual mode, and I went ahead and set this up for 5.6, and I'm also going to set the ISO to 100, okay? Being that it's full sun. and we'll go ahead and I'll use the meter that's in the camera and see what meter I get, what shutter speed it gives me. And we got to make sure we close the flash too, because this flash wasn't on as well. So now with a 5.6 at ISO 100, the shot is metering at 1/80th of a second. So we're gonna go ahead and go with that shot. Okay, we've got that shot, and it looks pretty similar. Oh, there's one thing I didn't do that he did do. Let me get that in here. Okay, I went ahead and what he was doing in his picture, I don't know if he did it by accident or was not meaning to do it, but he was cutting off the lower part of the baby, and also across the head he was cutting some out. So I went ahead and did that in that picture. So once again, just so that we're on the same page, I went ahead and shot in manual mode. I set my aperture at 5.6, ISO 100, and with the meter, using the meter that's in the camera, I came up with a 1/80th of a second, and that's what we did. And some of the pictures were overexposed and some were right on. That's the great thing about using manual, but we're not going to go into that right now. So we're going to go ahead and go with that shot right now. Now I'm going to show you some ways to improve upon that picture. Okay, the first thing is going to be go ahead and get up. The first thing is going to be getting out of a direct sun as much as possible. Photography is all about light, and so light is very important, and balancing light also is very important. If you notice, if I step up, you'll find me in the shade, and the background is very light, and that's because the camera will automatically start exposing for me, which I'm very dark complected, so the camera wants to overexpose a little bit so that way I'm not as dark in the picture. But one of the things that happens is that your background will become very overexposed, and so you're going to get some washing. I'm sure you see it in the video. I'm not behind the camera, but I'm sure you can see the washed out areas behind me. So now that we understand where we're at, let's figure out a way to fix that. If you notice, now we've switched locations. Now we're no longer in the sun, and the sun doesn't directly hit me or my son. But what happens when we do that, or we do move to a shady location, if you notice, the background now is going to be beautifully lit. So the camera now is taking a look at that background and is deciding that that is the most important thing in the subject. So that's exactly what's going to happen with your pictures as well. We're going to be very dark, and that's why in the post when I responded to him the first thing was that he needed to clear up the background. So now the angle that we're using to shoot my son, we'll no longer see cars in the background, but rather we'll be seeing trees and a park branch and people walking behind us. That's going to be the first thing you're going to notice, is that our background is going to be more pleasant. It's not going to have a parking lot behind it. The second thing I had mentioned to him was finding shade, or putting your subject in shade. But when you do that, like I said, your camera is going to adjust for what's in the background. So the way that we guard against that, now I'm going to set up my camera in portrait mode, and the flash should come up. And it does. The flash does come up by me pushing halfway down, and that's going to fill in the spots. Now, fill in the dark spots on the image sensor. Now the problem is that when you're using an on-camera flash like this flash is only good for maybe 5 to 10 feet maximum. Of course, ISO has a lot to do with it. The higher your ISO, the more you're able to extend your flash. But since we're shooting with ISO 100, we got to keep our flash, since it is small, we got to keep it close to our subject. So now if you watch, we're going to be taking the picture from a lot closer now. That's going to be the other thing, and that's going to fill in the darkness in him compared to the background. And also the third thing was him cutting off. He was cutting off the little child from the below and up above. So now I'm going to take a couple of shots. We're in portrait mode, full automatic. I don't have to do anything other than push the button. Let's see what we get. Okay, I need you to back up. Go ahead and back up a little bit. So, one step. There you go, right there. Okay, now I've taken a couple of shots, and these shots are way better, a lot more pleasing. And also, you can see where the flash is filling in that dark spot, and it also is helping to bring into control the back. And it works okay. It'll get you a much better shot. Also, I made sure that I didn't cut out his feet or cut any piece of his hair, head or hair off. I know that's real important to him. His hair is real important. He's a hair guy. So we got to make sure that we don't cut any of that hair off or chop out any of his feet. So that's the way to improve, and you'll see the difference in the picture. But now I'm going to show you a couple of other ways that you can make this even better by using what I like to use, which is a pocket wizard, and taking my flash, using a bigger flash and taking my flash off of the front and bringing it over to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up, and we'll be right back, okay? So here we are. We're all set up for this shot. Basically what we're going to have is, even though I got three flashes on here, I'm actually only firing off one, okay? Now the idea here, with a more powerful flash, unlike the one that's on the camera, we can actually underexpose the background. And that will be a huge difference from the last picture that we took in full automatic mode using portrait. So the very first thing that I'm going to do to set up this manual shot is I want to turn these flashes on, make sure that they are okay and running okay. Fire one off, make sure it's going to the right spot, and it is. And being that we're shooting in manual, let me go ahead and we're shooting outdoors. I'm going to go ahead and take this up actually to fire it at half power, and we'll leave it at half power. So now the next thing we're going to do in manual mode is we want to set up our shot to where we are exposing for the background, which is the sky and the lake right here. And once we get the correct exposure from there, then we'll go ahead and add in our flash at the very end. So that's what I'm going to do first, is I'm going to go ahead and set up my shot. At this point, we're going to shoot in full manual. Being that we're outside and he's in the shade, I'm actually going to start with 5.6, which is pretty similar to what we had set up for that first shot that we did. So using 5.6, I'm going to go ahead and do a test shot here. And this is what we get on our test shot. There it is. Okay. And you can tell in this first shot that the background is really blown out. So now we're going to try and remedy that, because we want to make sure that we get our background involved here. So I'm going to keep the same 5.6 ISO 100, except now I'm going to go ahead and go up to 200, a shutter speed of 200, to kind of slow everything down here. Here's our second shot. Okay. I'm sorry, I turned on my flash. I went off. I didn't plan it on going off. But once again, the background is just way overblown. So we're gonna go ahead and really back this aperture down a little bit. Back it up. We'll go 6.371. I'm gonna venture to say an f11. We'll try f11 at shutter speed of 200 and keeping our ISO at 100 and see what we get here. And that's a little bit more pleasing. but I'm gonna slow it down just a little bit more, just a tad bit more, because I want those nice rich colors in the back. So I'm gonna take this up to, I'm gonna say F14, which is another 2/3 of a stop. Not quite a full stop, but 2/3 of a stop. And we'll see what that looks like. And here we go. And there we go. It may be a little bit too dark, but we'll find out. But now I've got a background that I kind of like, and we can adjust it later on, because with the flash in there, I might not like it. But we're going to go ahead and go with that right now. And now I'm going to turn my flash on, and we're going to see what kind of picture we get now. So I went ahead and also brought my shutter speed down to 160 just to let a little bit more light in there, because it does seem just a little dark. I do want it a little dark, but I went ahead and brought us down. So now we're in manual mode. I'm shooting F14, ISO 100, and a shutter speed of 1/60th. Let's see what we get here. And there we go. And the first thing I notice is that the light's a little too dark. So I'm gonna go ahead and bump it up. I don't like to shoot in full power, but we'll go ahead and give it a shot here. Full power now. Still in full manual. Nothing's gonna change here. All we did was increase our flash power and see what we get here. Okay, it's starting to look a little bit better. But what the next thing we can do is, since we can't raise our flash any higher, we can go ahead and bring it in here to him a little bit closer. There we go. And we'll go ahead and try that one more time here. This is gonna be our last shot. If not, we'll have to make some adjustments, and we'll see what we can get here. Awesome. I think we're in the right spot. The only thing is now is that we've got a little bit of color issues going on. So I'm gonna go ahead and revisit my settings for my white balance. And there we go. We got a nice shot here. This is actually very good. I went ahead and put the shade, used the shade color setting, and it's for the most part it's a great image, but the background is still a little dark. I think my sun is perfectly exposed. So now all I'm going to do is play with my shutter speed, because now everything seems to be right on, right where we need it. F14, ISO 100. So instead of 1/60th of a second, I'm going to introduce more light, and the way you do that is by slowing down your shutter speed. I'm going to bring it down one full stop. I'm going to introduce one full stop more light, so I'm going to be at 1/80th of a second. See what we get here. And awesome. I really like this picture. This looks very good. Let me zoom in here and take a closer look. Yep, there we go. We got a nice shot here. It's a great improvement over where we started from, and I'll show the progression of this as how this was working out for us. But basically, shots are set up. Using automatic modes are great when you're getting started, but in all honesty, if you can manage to get out of the automatic modes and start using your creative modes, which are aperture and time. For Canon it's T, which is for shutter speed, or even full manual mode. That is definitely the way to go. Also adding flash. I personally use flash on just about every shot that I do. every project that we work on, I always use flash. And as you can tell, I like to use multiple flashes. So that way I get that nice studio look, even here outdoors. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and wrap this episode up. I wanna thank you for coming back and visiting us again on this episode number 3. And I surely hope that if you, him, as long as anybody else who may be interested, is getting something out of this. And also we wanna let you know that you can get a hold of us and send us any kind of questions or any kind of ideas for future episodes. We wanna hear from you guys. And you can do that online. You can visit us at www.camera64.com, or you can send me an email, and you can also get that information from our contact page. But that email is alfonso@camera64.com. And on the YouTube channel, last but not least, on our YouTube channel, we are Camera64 Video, and that's our YouTube channel. So till next time, I want to thank Alan for being here and helping us out. And we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. You come by and you visit us. Until then, I want you to have a great day, and you take care. Until next time, peace. Bye-bye.